Applied statistics.
in ocean demography.
Okay.
Yes. And also my name is Stefano Kulane, a student from the University of Rwanda.
Yeah. Very good. You're welcome. And we continue with others as well. Starting.
My name is Claudine Kampende. I'm from community.
Yeah. And continue.
Morning. My name is Odette Musayimana.
Yeah.
I'm coming from the organization called the Réseau Culturel Sangwa, and I'm the leader.
Okay. You found out. Okay. Everybody presented? Yes.
I'm Hassan. I'm from the Full Initiative.
From?
The Full Initiative.
Rukundo Initiative. Rukundo Initiative. What is your work?
We work on
Rukundo?
sexual reproductive health, mental health by using game approach.
Game approach. Very good. Yeah.
We need to talk to her later.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. So we are going to study or maybe to have a workshop on the cycles of learning for African students. Yeah, but of course I will introduce the workshop, and Dr. Buhedi will continue with this. He specializes in this stuff because he has been working on development issues in Africa, especially in Ghana, Mauritania, Morocco, and the other areas. So, but I will introduce the session and then we will take over. So when we talk about the cycles of learning for African development, what do we mean? And what is cycles of development? Of learning, and what is African development? That is what we want to talk about before we proceed. Yeah, and I thank you very much for accepting our invitation. We find this training very crucial, very important. Of course, we have regular training. This is the 14th workshop since we started last year. But we value this important workshop. So when we talk about cycles, like steps, yeah, like steps or
Look at blue or black.
yeah, I think it's better. This is not proper. Cycles or steps or levels of training for African development. Here we need to be aware of what is African development. In the recent economic forum, of course, these are our activities. We have this. And these activities that we are focusing on: inspiration economy, resilience economy, energy economy, community development, future foresight economy. Do you know what is future foresight? It's like predicting the future building of the current situation. Bizaza cyangwa se kumenya kuvuga bizaza biri imbere bigendeye bihari current. Yeah, we have aging economy. We have aging economy, is the economy of old people. How do we treat them? How do they work? How do they get income? How do they survive? Aging economy, youth economy, poverty elimination program, human development program. Yeah. We are fostering poverty elimination programs, of course, projects. And this is something that Dr. Buhedi is starting up in Africa now, in Rwanda, sorry. Other places have got a lot of advancement in the poverty elimination program, but we are starting out. We are still looking on how we can invest in social for-profit projects that can bring out income for people. Yeah. So, and we have program of women development program. These are very crucial because mostly women take a big role in the economy of household and the family and the country at large. When women are not empowered, we cannot expect development. Yeah. Because women play a very crucial role for family care, for family income, household income, and so on and so forth. So mostly it is very important to note about that. So when we talk about our network, of course we have a lot of network in Africa, mostly more than 11 countries. Yeah. And this is about also seeing how we can alleviate poverty. Yeah. For your information, Africa is only the poorest continent now. Compared to Middle East, to other places, compared to Eastern Asia. Yeah? Do you know that in 1960s China was very poor than Africa? Yes. 1960s. Yes. Yeah. The economy of China was very low. Actually, they have had $350 GDP per capita. By the time Congo DRC was 1,500 GDP per capita. Congo only. So China in the 1960s was very poor, very poor. Actually, watching Ragabatura again, because of hunger, he was burying a lot of people. And that is why in China, they greet each other, Wocherama, Wariye, Nikoba Susan. Have you eaten? Have you eaten? Because they were hungry. Africa started to have hunger just recently. Yeah. Our grandfathers had like farmland, sorghum, beans, potatoes, cows. Household can have 100 cows, or goats, or sheep. You see, banana plantations and so on. But nowadays things changed, and that is why probably development stakeholders and initiators, like Interbrain, for instance, decided to come to Africa to help out. Because Africa is in an alarming situation. Nowadays, the 10 least or poorest countries, 26 poorest countries, I think are in Africa. And the first one is our neighbor, Burundi. Burundi is a China, peace. Camden.
Second class, I think. This is the second class. Because the first is the South Sudan.
No, for Burundi. It's Burundi. Yes.
I like prosper.
You can check the recent economic indicators on poverty. The first is Burundi. And Burundi, Rwanda, Congo, those are fertile. But the problem, sometimes it's a managerial problem. Managerial problem means the way we conduct ourselves, the way we manage time, the way we manage everything. I mean, those are the issues that we are talking about. So when we are talking about cycles of poverty, we are talking about all of these issues. And of course, when we talk about stakeholders, for instance, of development, here we talk about different aspects of going through initiative, yeah? Initiative, for instance, initiative related to the development. You see this cycle, this graph. This graph was from Economic Forum, yeah? And it talks about the complexity of issues now. The complexity of issues in Africa. And as you can see, there is economic growth issue, there is sustainability issue, there is election problems, there is security problems, there is mega trends in accountability, where was and there is also technological issues, technology for instance. I was amazed when I went to Germany in 2021. And the student from Germany approached me and said, oh, now Rwanda produce cell phones. I said, oh, yes. Yeah, we have another company, phone company. But we are just starting. But this is a great achievement of Rwanda, if we can produce at least a phone. But now other countries have taken over also. Morocco produces phones, Egypt and China. There are a lot of brands now that you can produce. TV like this you can produce. Yeah? Yeah? But also Egypt can produce nice TVs also, like this. So it is a progress. Africa is starting to have a progress since 2000. But still we have a lot of problems, as you see. Yeah. And it's the complex issues, very complex issues. We have migration issues, we have tourism issues, so if you look at these stuff, it's huge. So I cannot read every single point this, but you can maybe diagnose by yourself, or pick a photo, take a photo of this, and then you diagnose when you go home. And you can see there is a lot of issues related to that. I don't know if you can read it on your printed copy, but there is a lot of inequality. Inequality, for instance. If we go to inequality, it is huge. For instance, Rwanda was having a huge inequality rate, 4.5, until you decided to set up UDE and the other system that facilitates income distribution. Income distribution. Because people cannot alleviate poverty, cannot get rid of poverty if they don't have money. No. If they don't have resources, no. Can you tell a person to cultivate when he has no land? No. Everything has to be provided by yourself, or by donors, or by government. But this is about the managerial stuff, managerial thing that we need to understand. So when we talk about, for instance, manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, look at here. Advanced manufacturing. What is manufacturing? Yes, Alexi? In Uganda, yeah, industries. Creation of small industries that can produce at least water, that can produce at least a pain like this. Yeah. Manufacturing. Africa is still low. And we have got a lot of problem about this. Yeah. And this brings on poverty. So the contemporary Africa then, the overall GDP per capita of Africa is lower compared to the world. That is what I was explaining. Mostly 5,000 US dollars. 5,000 US dollars in the country. Of course, lots of countries don't have even this. Burundi, for instance, have 350. Now, almost 200, so 350. Yeah. Botswana in Africa at least is better, have 15,000 USD. Yeah. Botswana. And South Africa is better in Africa, of course. Yeah. And these are things that we always talk about. Yeah. The issue of poverty, the issue of GDP, the production issues. Because we cannot develop if we don't produce production. Even if you produce tomatoes, just in your garden, or greens, just in your garden, it shows that you are producing something. Even if you produce sweet potatoes, just in one acre farm, Tubura. Everybody here knows 1 acre farm. We shake their inputs in one because 1 acre farm enables people to produce more in the agriculture sector. So, production is what brings up the GDP. Yeah, the GDP. So when we talk about production, we talk about that. The issues of resource scarcity. And this is the problem we talk always about. Africa is not poor. It is very rich in natural assets. Natural assets. But not rich in science. Techno. Maybe you will see when Dr. Boyd will explain the case of Ghana. What did he do in Ghana? Just to increase the knowledge only. The other natural resources they have had. The group he worked with in order to develop them on Shibata, he will explain later. They had nuts already there, natural nuts, but they didn't know how to produce them in a very sustainable way. It's like we have sweet potatoes, but we don't know how to make this sweet, for instance, from it. So, resources in Africa, we have plenty, but knowledge to use for those resources is a really big problem. That is why we always have to sit and diagnose the issues. And diagnose the issues. And this is very important. How do we work? How do we produce? How do we increase the value of our resources? Without education, it is not possible. No, it is not possible. No. You can have a tree, but to make a chair from that tree requires some knowledge. To make a table like this requires some knowledge. Technological knowledge. So, if, for instance, if we take the case of Angola, we have been talking about Angola here. Yeah. So how can we increase the learning cycles of Angolan people so that they can use the materials they have for the better achievement? For the better achievement. And that is what we call learning cycles. How can we increase the knowledge, the capacity, so that people who are poor can leave the range of poverty to wealth creation. So ni gute ushobora kuvana abantu mu bukene ukoresheje ubwenge n'ubumenyi. And there is a lot of things to do. When I go to the village, my home place, for instance, I see people pounding stones with hammer. You can imagine this house has been built under the labor of hand and stone. And stone. You cannot make a first floor, second floor without those people. But if someone comes from abroad, let's say from Europe, and say, oh, they are pounding stone with, he will say those people are from 1,000 years back. The age of stone. This is so dangerous. And how can we increase knowledge? Mostly, Dr. Boyd called them pioneers. I learned a lot from him. Pioneer, how can we create people from university or IPRC vocational training who can increase the capacity to pound stones without using traditional mechanism? It's still challenging. And the other issue was tribalism. The tribalism is also a bad effect. You hear the issues we have, especially in Congo, about tribalism also. What you have also in Rwanda, genocide, was tribalism. Yeah. And this is dangerous. Because people, if they don't get along and agree with themselves, they cannot prosper. The hindrance of development is also conflict, tribal conflict. Of course, I was rushing quickly, but when we talk about scramble for Africa, that was the colonial concept that Africa should be divided and should be taken over by others. We have to think about this, and especially the value chain of it. The value chain. Yeah. Family paralysis and social parenthood irresponsibility. When you see, for instance, many families in Rwanda, parents tend to be irresponsible. Some, not all, but some. Ubundi umwana umucira inshuro agakura amujyana ku ishuri ugakomeza akabona neza. Ariko usanga dufite communities nyinshi ziri irresponsible parents. Yeah. Who is the father of this child? Oh, he's a driver of a lorry. Yes. The driver of a lorry cannot miss food and cannot miss school fees. But the driver of the lorry, for instance, will need a child here, a child another place, and get response. And this issue of family responsibility is dangerous. Some people live like orphans when they have funds. How can we teach fathers to be responsible? And this is so important. Because when we have responsible people in the country, in the family, they will be also responsible at work, they will be also responsible in the farm, they will be also responsible in the management of the society. The responsibility is very dangerous, and it is one of the aspects of industry. So if you go to the village, there are some children who are suffering, and yet they have two parents, mother and father. And they are drunk or do something else, they don't care. And development is a mindset always. Development is a mindset change. How do we teach? How do they learn? How do they cope with new knowledge in order to develop? That is what we are going to see in a minute with Dr. Boyd. When we talk about social security, for instance, social security is a big problem. When we talk about social security here, we talk about the reliance. Because of poverty mindset, we always think we are poor and that we cannot overcome poverty Then we are stagnant because of mindset. Why? Social security. Social security. If you get old and you need help from RSSB, Rwanda Social Security Board, or then they give you peanuts, then it cannot work. I remember at the beginning, RSSB used to give peanuts to old men. Peanuts, until the government changed. They said, President Kagame said, okay, let's multiply the money you give to old men. And now the old men receive money even if they didn't work for it. But we need to enlarge this. We need to think about how can we increase that, how can we deal with NGOs also who supply income to people, because it is very crucial. You cannot develop in a vacuum, you have to have something to build. Other countries have at least minimum payment, minimum salary, like South Africa. But everybody will not go to South Africa, or to Europe, or to. In 2019, 16,000 people have died in the sea, Mediterranean Sea, because they wanted to travel to Europe and they died in the midway. Why? The issue of youth migration, going to look for other opportunities abroad, and hunger, malnutrition, and so on. These are the cases of different activities, good activities that people have been working on, giving, for instance, porridge, giving, for instance, food to children. And these are very important and crucial activities done by you as NGOs and done by individual people and the financial persons. And also, what we can do for self-sustainability of this and whatever is also to teach people how they can also be a community, how they can also feed the kids first. You cannot take a kid and bring them, the kids and bring them to school when they have empty stomach. It can't, it is not possible. It is not possible. And different programs now in Rwanda, and this is Kenya, Rwanda and Kenya, also is programmed to see how they can have school feeding. School feeding. Because the food is the best when especially you talk about the brain. I talk to people, I always tell them, eat first and think later, because in Latin you say, primo manducare, the Indo philosopher, first eat and then think. You cannot think if you didn't eat. And the school feeding is very important for the people you read as a community leaders or NGOs leaders, for instance, Kokorgo, for instance. How do you care about school feeding? How do you care about home feeding of the kids? What activities, how can you partner with people to teach people to feed themselves, to prepare diet? Those are things that doesn't need a lot of money. Yeah, just to look for an expert in the University of Rwanda with nutrition or a nun or someone else, and you go to the village, you teach people to prepare food, diet. It's just awareness. Yeah, and these are the issues, of course, we talk about. I will not go to everyone, because I need to hand over to others also to present. But of course, unemployment, this is one of the issues. Not employment, not in education, not in training. We have a lot. You can find guys sitting in the street at 9. Okay, he has no job, he has no training, he has no purpose of the same day. And not need actually is very important point we have to look and to search for in the community. How can we for instance, change those people to understand that to set up a training, to set up employment, to set up education is important. But this is a complex problem. We need a lot of stakeholders in this. But in villages, in centers, city centers, there are a lot of people who are not in employment, not in education, not in training, just sitting. Just sitting. And this can bring a lot of stress, drugs, and so on and so forth. And even suicide, yeah, even suicide. Because of hopelessness, feeling hopelessness. Yeah. Okay. So Rwanda Happiness Index is about 3.4. The best happiness index is beyond that, actually. The best happiness index is like 8. Yeah. 4 is middle. 8 is maximum. When we talk about happiness index, the most happiest countries are Scandinavian countries. You see Norway, Denmark, more than 8. But middle countries are, for instance, different countries. Let's say Palestine, for instance, even though they are in crisis of war. But you see, Rwanda, we are 3.4. Why are we unhappy society? Because of stress and genocide against the legacy of those. The stress, the war, mistrust among people, poverty, how to look. Yeah, give me an idea. You say poverty, for instance. Why are Rwandans lower ranked in terms of happiness?
I would say they should talk about poverty, and I would say also security.
Security?
Yes. When you talk about security, of course there are people who are still having the simple mentality of what happened before. So
yes, they reflect to the past, and they fear the past. Yes, okay. Any idea, Claudine? Unemployment. When people are not employed, they can't be happy. Yeah. Yes, brother. The name again is
Brian.
Brian. Yeah.
Different in status,
Different in status. Yeah.
So as we were down, we are not happy, and we are not informed on how we can get to where these people are. So because of that, we are frustrated, and we are not happy.
Yeah, because of their feeling they are in lower classes, economic classes, and that does bring unhappiness also. But we think we have to do research on that. Why Rwandans are always ranked as an unhappy society? Yeah. Before genocide, I remember. Yes, Walida, you have a point?
Yeah, thank you. I was going to talk about also the genocide.
Yes.
After 1994 genocide, so people were traumatized.
Yeah.
People lost families.
Yeah.
Others lost parents. Children remains orphans. So this is what hard for them. So that's why mostly, the biggest percent, why Rwanda community index number of happiness is still low. We are still fighting with all these effects and difficulties that genocide has left for us. Thank you.
But how then can we, coming back to learning cycle, how can we change the mindset of Rwandans and to try to increase what can they learn from others? And how can we cope up with this, for instance?
Yeah,